Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a play that was so shocking, so scandalous, it got banned all across Europe. We're talking about Henrik Ibsen's masterpiece from 1881, Ghosts. And let me tell you, it's a story that really hammers home the idea that the secrets we try to bury, well, they have a way of coming back to haunt us.
All right, let's jump right in with this quote from our main character, Mrs. Alving. This really gets to the heart of the whole play. When she says ghosts, she isn't talking about spooky apparitions or anything like that. No, she's talking about something much more real. The ghosts of old, dead ideas, of outdated beliefs, and just the inescapable weight of the past. And these are the themes that are going to power everything we're about to see. So the curtain rises on the Alving family home. Picture this. It's a big estate in western Norway, and it's just gloomy, constantly raining. On the surface, everything looks perfect, the very picture of respectability and class. But that rain, that endless, dreary rain, it's a perfect metaphor for the oppressive, suffocating feeling that's building up inside those walls.
Okay, so who are the people at the heart of this drama? First up, you've got Mrs. Alving. She's the widow, the matriarch, and she is desperately trying to keep a lid on a lifetime of secrets. Then there's her son Oswald. He's an artist, he's just come back from Paris, and he's bringing all these wild, modern ideas with him. Then we have Pastor Mandis. Think of him as the pillar of the community, a guy who is terrified of scandal and cares more about what people think than almost anything else. And finally, there's Regina, the family's maid, and her supposed father, Jacob Engstrand, who let's just say is a lot smarter and more manipulative than he looks.
So the big event that's about to happen is the opening of a new orphanage, and it's being built as a memorial to the late Captain Alving. The whole town sees him as this great guy, a generous benefactor, a model citizen. This orphanage, it's supposed to be the final shining piece of his legacy. It's the cornerstone of the family's sterling reputation. There's just one tiny problem. The whole thing is built on a giant lie.
And this is where things start to get really interesting. Because that perfect, respectable facade, it doesn't take long for the cracks to start showing. And the catalyst, the thing that starts to shake it all apart, is Oswald coming home from Paris. He brings with him a whole new way of thinking, and it's about to collide head-on with this very, very conservative household.
So you've got these two totally opposite forces, right? On one side, there's Pastor Manders. For him, life is all about rigid duty, avoiding scandal at all costs, and following traditional morality, no questions asked. And on the other side, you have Oswald. He's all about the joy of life, about artistic freedom. He even talks about how in Paris, artists live together without being married, and he thinks it's completely normal. And this clash, this complete opposition of worldviews, well, that's the explosion at the center of the play.
And if you want to understand Pastor Manders' whole mindset, just look at this quote. He's actually lecturing Mrs. Alving here, reminding her of a time years ago when she ran away from her awful marriage. And what did he do? Did he help her? No. He told her she had no right to happiness, only a duty to her husband. And he sent her right back to a miserable, abusive home. Why? All for the sake of appearances.
Then the tension just snaps. Mrs. Alving has this absolutely chilling moment of déjà vu. She's in one room, and she overhears her son Oswald in the next room making a move on the maid, Regina. And it's not just what he says, it's how he says it. It is a perfect, terrifying echo of his own father's behavior from years and years ago. This is it. This is the play's central idea in action. The ghosts aren't just memories, they're patterns doomed to repeat themselves.
That moment, that horrifying echo, is the final straw. It pushes Mrs. Alving to do something she hasn't done for 19 years, tell the truth. She corners Pastor Manders, and she just starts to tear down the entire lie of her marriage, brick by painful brick.
She tells the pastor, who is just completely shocked, that the Captain Alving he knew, the public hero, was a total fraud, a fiction. The real man, the one she lived with, he was a drunk, a degenerate, and he never changed. For their entire marriage, he was unfaithful, turning their home, as she puts it, into a place of moral poison.
And then she drops the biggest bomb of all. The cheating, it wasn't just some secret affairs somewhere else. It was with their maid, Johanna, in their own house, right under her nose. That was the final betrayal. That's when she sent her young son Oswald away to school. Not just to get him away from his father, but to save him from the toxic secret that was poisoning their very home.
And here's the twist. That affair had a consequence. Regina, the maid, she's not Jacob Engstrand's daughter. She is Captain Alving's illegitimate child. I mean, what a bombshell, right?
It means that Oswald, her son, has been flirting and falling for his own half-sister, and neither of them had a clue.
But wait, it gets so much worse. Captain Alving didn't just leave behind a secret daughter, he passed something else on to his son. Something physical, something terrible. A curse that has literally followed Oswald back home from Paris. So Oswald finally confesses to his mother. He's sick, really sick, and he saw a doctor in Paris who gave him this terrifying, almost biblical diagnosis, saying, "The sins of the fathers are visited upon the children." The doctor said it was something he'd had since he was born, but Oswald has no idea about his father's real life. He thinks his dad was this perfect guy. So naturally, he blames himself. He thinks it must be his fault, something he did in Paris. Oh, he has no idea how wrong he is.
Okay, and this is the really shocking part. The doctor in Paris used a specific French word to describe Oswald's condition. Vermoulu. It means worm-eaten. Now, to us, that might sound strange, but to an audience in 1881, the meaning was crystal clear, and it was scandalous beyond belief. Ibsen was talking about congenital syphilis. The sins of the father weren't a metaphor anymore. This ghost was real, physical, and it was literally eating Oswald alive from the inside.
So as all these awful truths finally come spilling out into the open, all the physical things that represented the family's lives, well, they start to come crashing down too. And I mean, in the most literal way imaginable.
You're not going to believe this. A fire breaks out. And what burns? The orphanage. The Captain Alving Memorial Orphanage. The one single thing built to cement his fake reputation, it burns to the ground. Total ashes. And the best part? Pastor Manders was too scared of what people might say to get it insured, so it's all just gone. The irony is just wow. And from there, everything just completely unravels. Mrs. Alving lays it all out for Oswald and Regina. They're half-siblings. Regina, who's nothing if not a survivor, is horrified. She's not about to spend her life taking care of a sick man she can't even marry, so she's out. She leaves to go make her own way, probably at that shady sailor's inn her father is opening. And just like that, with her walking out the door, every single lie the family was built on is totally destroyed.
So, the orphanage is gone, Regina is gone, all the secrets are out in the open, the stage is basically cleared for what is, without a doubt, one of the most shocking and difficult endings in the history of theater.
Oswald now explains to his mother the absolute full horror of what's wrong with him. It's not just an illness that will kill him. No, it's a softening of the brain. He's going to lose his mind slowly until he becomes, well, like an infant again. Helpless. He's not going to die. He's going to become a living ghost. And then he pulls out a small box. It's filled with morphine pills. He makes his mother promise him. He begs her that when the end comes, when his mind is gone, that she will be the one to give him the pills and end it. He tells her, "I never asked you for life. You shall take it back again." He is forcing her to promise to do the unthinkable.
And he doesn't have to wait long. As the sun starts to rise, the very sun that symbolizes that joy of life he always wanted, it happens. The final stage begins. Right there, in front of his mother, Oswald's mind is just gone. It collapses completely.
He just slumps down in his chair, totally vacant, and starts repeating one phrase over and over again in this dead, monotone voice. The sun. The sun. That's it. He's physically there, but the man, the artist, her son, he's gone. He's become the living ghost he was so terrified of.
And the play ends with Mrs. Alving just standing there, frozen, staring at what's left of her son. The box of morphine is in her hand. She made a promise. What does she do? The curtain falls, and we, the audience, are left right there with her, facing that horrible, impossible choice. And that's the final brutal point. The ghosts aren't just about the past coming back to haunt you. They're about the impossible, agonizing decisions that the past forces you to make.